Hey guys, welcome to a special Friday afternoon here in the United States AMA with Nick Kalyani. How you doing, Nick?
Great, Kryptonian. How's it going,
What's
guys?
up,
What's
Nick?
going on, Nick? What's going on, Greek? Chris, it's been a while since I've been online. I appreciate the invite.
I know, and it's a pleasure having you on without your face. This is quite the moment for me.
So great, so great.
Oh man!
And
So
Greek,
we've got a lot of questions for Nick. So we're just going to get started because this guy down up there. I'm just joking.
yeah, I
I
love
Sorry,
thought we
it.
had
Nick.
Yeah.
technical difficulties already.
Nah, Chris and I go at it all the time. You guys should know this already. Yeah.
Here, if you know what, you need to be down here with me. So let's just make
There
it
it is.
fair
There it
now.
is. There
Put
it is.
Nick
There
up
it
in
is.
the top spot. But Greek, man, I'm just saying, are you coming back, man? Because
Never.
you're looking so good down in Florida.
I promise tomorrow I'm back. I'm flying out 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm done with this Eastern Standard Time stuff. I hate it. It's throwing me off.
Well, I mean, it's the real time, so I
Yeah.
guess that's what bothers you.
I don't even know what time to wake up, what time to go to bed. It's confusing me.
So, Nick, I reached out to you to do the AMA to talk about some of the discussions that were made about some of the payments that were made to you while you were a contractor, and I guess now it's a little confusing to me because it's still, I guess you got some deliverables you have to complete and everything. I was more on the I was wanting it to be more of a thing once the vote happened and everything like that, that you would be in charge and we'd be moving forward. And I reached out to say, hey, you want to answer some questions about some of the payments that were made and maybe clear a few things up and everything like that, and see if we could get to the bottom of some of the things. So I know that we have some questions or anything like that, and I know that you have some things that you want to talk about. Is there anything that you want to talk about before we get into any of the questions out there or anything like that? Or you got any statements or anything? Or are you just ready to go?
Well, yeah, I'm always ready to go. I mean, the thing is Chris, like from day one, one of the important things to know is I'm more about transparency and just letting everything be in the open. And so, what I'd like to do today is to just put everything out there for people to decide for themselves. What is going on. Um, my hat, which I picked up while I was vacationing in Japan, is very prescient. It says "stuck." And that's actually what our state is right now. We are basically stuck in our attempt to create a blockchain with a $250 million market cap because a few people think that the $270,000 needs to be monitored very, very closely. And so I want to talk about that. And I have prepared a complete presentation with all details for everyone to review. And yeah, uh, the basic problem is that people are sort of, and specifically, Jason and Big Spite are saying that they are doing this whole diligence, etc., for the community. But ironically, it's the community that's been hurt in the process because we've set a goal, and that goal is now at risk, significantly at risk because of their actions. And so, what I want to do is just present all the information and let everyone decide for themselves what's right and what's wrong. Maybe there's no right or wrong. Maybe there's just facts. Facts are important. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do today. And yeah, we can just dive right into it. Or if you guys have any startup questions or whatever,
Well,
we
I mean,
can.
do you have a presentation that you want to show us first, and
Yep,
then
yep.
we'll just
I
Yeah,
have gone
that
through
might
all the
answer my
details.
questions.
yeah, yeah, that might be a good idea. So, how about is this going to take you a few minutes? You want us to come off the screen while you're doing it, like we did the other
No, I
one, or
think you can stay on there and you can in fact ask me questions as we are going along because again, I want to make sure everyone understands the history of this and what's going on.
all right? Let me put you.
So,
I'm gonna move you down a little bit so people can see you more than how great Greek looks. It's ridiculous, trying to drive me crazy.
yeah.
All right, we're ready to go, Nick.
All right. So let's kick this off by going a little bit into history. So essentially, I came on the project because the the contractors for marketing ePlace, they basically proposed me to Brian as a potential contractor to work on the block. So in terms of requirements, what we got was essentially what you see on the screen there. In terms of technical requirements, we got a marketing website to look at and like, okay, build a blockchain based on this. Now, any self-respecting engineer will tell you that it's not very clear or detailed requirements. They're quite ambiguous and quite vague. But nevertheless, we forged ahead. And what I want to do is show you the excerpts from the proposal that we made, and then talk about what was delivered and what is pending, etc. Right? So let's go through that, and please feel free to interrupt me anytime with any questions that you may have. All right. So the requirements were that we fork the Binance Smart Chain. We essentially fork a decentralized exchange. It wasn't determined which one. To implement what's called SAP, the Seifu Auto Compounding Protocol. We create a bridge from the Binance Smart Chain to Seifu Chain so people could move their Seifu tokens over. And we provide an explorer to view and query all transactions. Optionally, there was a requirement to essentially create a concept of a light node so that community members could become feature-constrained validators for the Seifu chain. So that's what the requirements were. Let's look at how we provided in our proposal, which is basically everything I'm showing you was signed off on, right? So I'm just showing you excerpts from there. So what we said is we'll essentially fork the existing Binance Smart Chain using the latest, most stable code base, and it'll preserve all aspects of BSC with customizations in 3 categories. First, the naming, obviously we'd change that. We changed the configuration parameters. So when you launch a protocol, you can change things like the epochs, the block duration, the gas costs, and things like that. So we said we would optimize them for the SAP protocol, and even the runtime. The highlighted yellow, we said beyond the above, we will make no changes to the BSC chain and implement it with full fidelity as a Seifu chain. So it's basically, the contract was to take BSC, make it run as Seifu with minor naming changes, etc. All right, so that was the first part. The next part, SAP was very unclear to us. There was a lot of marketing talk, but no one had done any kind of technical write-up on what or how that would work. So what we basically said in our proposal, without knowing all the details at that point, because there were none, is that we would fork the multiple smart contracts necessary to implement the SAP family of protocols. This includes the auto compounding, the Seifu insurance fund, the fire pit, the treasury, etc. So when we looked at how this would be, we saw a bunch of different contracts with overlapping functionality. So what we committed to doing is basically doing a detailed analysis and implementing only those things that were necessary. Now, fast forward, recently, Nacho, as in his role as sort of advisor and architect, put together a document. I think this was probably a few months ago now. I've linked that document here because it's important to understand that to date, as of August 18th, Friday, 1:11 p.m. Pacific time, there is still no consensus on what the DEX specific features should be. If you look at the document, you will see there's a ton of questions there, and it's really more of an analysis slash a sort of should we, could we, and will we, etc. It isn't a requirements document. This is important, and I wanted to highlight that. Also, I want to highlight from here the fact that the word DEX is overloaded. It's very ambiguous. It means a lot of different things, and not just a DEX in the sense, you create a pair and you swap. That's what we know a DEX as. But if you look at this very carefully, you can see that it's got auto compounding and Seifu, it's got a token, etc. So we use this really, it's the latter part that's important. It's the implementation of SAP. And it's important to note that in this contract, SAP, all of this was designed to be implemented as smart contracts, which is very, very different from being implemented in the protocol. This is a technical distinction, but it's an important one. It's much easier to implement something in a smart contract than it is to implement it in a blockchain protocol. All right. The next thing here is I want to also highlight milestones. So I want to call out the DEX milestone in particular because that's the one that been hearing a lot about, and I want to show you that basically the milestone for payment was DEX 10, which was after all those things you see, 01 through 09. You can see that there's auto compounding, a token implementation. Then it was Seifu. Now it's Vul, insurance fund, a fire pit, a treasury, an alpha, etc. So this was the payment milestone. This is an important thing. Again, it's important. These details matter quite a bit. You can make all kinds of wild claims, etc. But when you come down to the details, facts are important. All right. The next thing is we had to create a bridge from Binance to Seifu and essentially make it possible for you to move your Seifu, which is a BEP20 token, over to the new protocol. That was the requirement for the bridge. We also had a requirement to create a Seifu Explorer. So this is just like Etherscan or BSC scan or and now what we call the trace for Vulcan, right? So that was also a requirement. Optionally, we had proposed to essentially create at that time, without knowing anything, a desktop service that ran on Windows, Mac, etc., but having a constrained functionality of the validator node. Now, as we are going through all these, keep in mind that a lot of this went through multiple different revisions. And one of the things about IT projects, and Kryptonian can probably attest to this, is like when you have changes, you typically have change orders and dates and costs associated with them. We didn't have much of that. We were actually most of the time being reactive. We learned that there was a Medium blog post that basically changed a whole bunch of things because Brian had gone out and announced something, and now we had to react and figure out what to do based on that. All right. So there were some additional services. We said that our CTO Prabhu would essentially be present at town hall meetings, etc., to answer questions. We would do deployment. On one, I was asked if I would be there, and I flat out said no. I would only want to be behind the scenes. I would be an architect, and I would not be representing on screen. So that's an important thing. And we worked out the fact that we would be deploying the validators and coming up with a plan. And then also, what's most important for a protocol, if you don't have an in-house team, is support. What happens if the mainnet is activated and you find bugs, you find a security incident, or BSC upgrades something and you have to maintain parity with them? So typically in IT, you have support plans for that. And so we provided the support plans, they are typically retainer based. So nothing out of the ordinary. In the industry, you have support plans that are based on a retainer, so engineers are available on call. And we also attested there that all infrastructure would be paid for by Seifu and not us. Now, as I'm going through this, I want you to be also cognizant of the fact that there are two parts to this equation. There's a blockchain part, and there's a developer engagement part with two entirely different entities. All right. So this here we're talking about is the blockchain part, implementing the protocol. Now, we estimated that the project, based upon just that simple conversion from Binance Smart Chain to this, would be about 6 months. We also know, I know, having done countless software projects, that software is very hard to estimate. You can have one little tiny thing that is based upon some incompatibility in the library that could set you back weeks, months, even, And so we built that in, and we also said that there might be up to a 20% increase on the estimates because we can't have a fixed cost thing on such a large project. So we built that note in also. And we put the payment terms. Basically, we said that there would be 4 installments. Upfront would be 50%, so we could get the development team going, etc. Then there would be 25% upon the Seifu testnet, 20% upon completion of the DEX beta, and then 5% on remaining components, plus the first quarterly installment of the maintenance. So it's $250K per quarter in order to essentially provide support for all of this. So those were the terms. And along the way, as I have mentioned before, we attended meetings with the team, but our meetings were for a segment of the actual meeting. We would show up, we would provide an update, get feedback, get direction, and then we would drop off, and the rest of the team would keep meeting because we were outside sort of contractors. Now, let's look at the payments. All right. So upon signing, we got the, I've just listed everything. I'm just going to not read out things. I'm going to point out the important things to you, right? So basically, we've been through 3 milestones here. And on milestone number 3, the DEX in particular, we are 90% there. If you look at, again, let me just back up a little bit and go back to the slide that has the DEX. Note here that under this component, under this milestone, is a token, auto compounding, the insurance fund, which was dropped, a fire pit, and a treasury. All of those are currently implemented and working on testnet, not as a smart contract, but even more complex at a protocol level, because that became a subsequent requirement. And in hindsight, we should have just revised the whole contract then and added a whole bunch more cost, and we wouldn't be here sitting discussing this, because the cost to implement something as a smart contract versus the cost to implement something as a protocol is orders of magnitude higher. But we kept things there, and people don't appreciate. If you're not an engineer, you don't appreciate the change in going from something that's in Solidity in a smart contract to go Ethereum at the protocol level, where you have to be much more cognizant of performance and security and all kinds of other aspects like that. But so milestone 3, there's a bunch of components that were in fact supposed to be in what we would know as a DEX, but are actually now built right into the protocol. Okay, that's been done. Then we had a couple of new change orders along the way. We had branding changes, and we constantly went through, I remember a period of months where we were just revising the fire pit and treasury and vaporization and all of that kind of stuff. And a new faucet was added. So all of that was added and completed. Then there were 4 dApps added for the node KYC, the node staking, token sacrifice, and multi-sig. And those dApps are in progress. They were, I'm going to probably get the date wrong, but I think it was less than 2 months ago that they were kind of came into the picture. And so we are halfway done with them. Now comes the controversial part, and the part that we need to spend some time. I've highlighted green. So basically, we've changed completely milestone 4. We have a new plan in place. And so I am sort of conflicted a little bit. I have to deliver these services, but also I'm leading the charge here. So I wanted to be fair. And for me, the fairest thing was, let's take the amount that's due, and within that scope, get everything done so we can get to the mainnet that we have to. So don't charge anything extra, is basically how I came about this. All right. So let's look at the actual numbers. So for milestone 4, the balance was $58,600. Remember earlier I showed you the slide where we said there would be up to a potential 20% overage. Well, it was more work to go, instead of just implementing a Binance Smart Chain directly, to actually modify the protocol. So that was $155,000, but we negotiated that down. Well, Brian essentially negotiated that down to $96,400. Okay. So there's a portion of the DEX remaining, and there's a portion of the bridge remaining. Now, what has been added in this milestone? We have all new rebasing protocol changes that we've all agreed to, right? We've agreed to the dynamic sort of rebasing. We have a mainnet RC1 that we want to have live, all the servers, etc., that go along with it. We have to create the OG NFT dApp and the smart contract that goes with it, that gives the incentive pool, the vesting schedule, and essentially the ability to look at your earnings and all of that kind of stuff. We have to raise capital, so we have a booster dApp we need to build with smart contract, and etc. And we are going to rebrand the protocol and trace. So this is all new scope, but I have basically said, look, the fairest thing we can do right now, because we are cost constrained, is just keep the terms the same, the payment the same, and we'll do that. So, but given all that happened, these funds are in risk, right? Like I cannot commit to having developers work and then be left holding the bill where I have to pay for it myself. I've done that before, but I can't continue to sustainably do that. And so on July 13th, I met with the three signers on the multi-sig and basically negotiated this to a retainer-based model. There are many consulting arrangements that are retainer-based. You pay at the beginning of the month, get stuff done, and there's an accounting at the end of the month where if you have to pay more, you pay more, or maybe it's always a flat fee accounting. It doesn't matter. In this case, it's a flat fee thing. I'm going to do all these things, but there's a retainer that happens in 3 installments. This is also documented in the funds channel on Discord, where basically documented that. All right, July came along, like right after that agreement, there was no problem with the initial 135K payment. But then subsequent to that, the quote unquote investigation started, and it is unclear to me why so much time was spent doing due diligence on what I'm doing. I don't know why, because I've always been forthright with this. But in any event, as of today, August 18th, the August retainer has not been paid. I am left holding the bag on that. I have to pay the developers. We are quite late on them, and we risk jeopardizing the entire project at this point because that has not been paid. One of the challenges has been having a conversation with Jason, who's basically the person unwilling to sign the multisig. The other two are. So he, for many days, does not respond to messages, things like that. And I have basically, my position has been, and it's been very clear, I want, despite everyone saying no, I have not seen Jason do anything other than support essentially the project. And this is why I invited him to essentially have a role in the DAO, a very key role, to be the operations team lead in the strategy council. But it's been really hard and very challenging to converse with him. But finally, on August 15th, we were able to get in on a meeting. That's when he and Big Spite laid out all the details of their investigation. So nothing differs from the amounts I've showed here for this project, but there was a difference in the numbers I claimed around selling Seifu. So we'll come to that because a portion of the payment for the other project was in Seifu. So I'll get to that in a moment. But right now, as far as the blockchain goes, on August 15th, we reached an agreement to, again, it's a second agreement we reached, to pay the remaining one in 4 installments instead of 2. So that also has not happened. So twice now, I have negotiated in good faith an agreement around this last chunk. And it's really, in the scope of the whole project, it's really not that large. But because Jason won't approve it, we are stuck. We are literally stuck and can't have forward momentum. Been doing the best I can for the past 2 weeks, but developers need to get paid. It's just that simple. So this is the status with the blockchain aspect of it. Now, let me highlight for you the developer engagement part of it and also indicate where there's a difference, right? So the developer engagement essentially was a project which came on board later, after the blockchain was underway. And the reason it came on board, and you have to kind of read a little bit between the lines here. One of the things the project was lacking at that time was credibility. And just to put it very bluntly, Brian said, like, if we do this project with Decentology, will you represent us on stage and talk to developers on our behalf, etc.? And I said, as a Decentology representative, yes, but I'm not going to go there as a Seifu at that time representative. You're engaging us for developer services. I will represent that, and I will speak to developers and all of that. So this is actually normal. I do that for other protocols. We've done this for Flow blockchain. We've done it for Solana. We've done it for Algorand, etc. I go and speak at a conference on their behalf. So for me, this was fine. But you can understand why this was important to Brian. One of the things that Seifu lacked at that time was credible partners. And it was important to start showing some credibility. And so that's one of the main reasons for sort of going along with this project. And we broke things down quite a bit. And if you go look in the document, the Q&A document that Jason posted, there's a fair amount of detail about this in there. I provide the links to all the videos and etc. So what happened here is that we made a false start. We basically tried to get developers on board, failed miserably at it because there was not even a test net, and there was no, like, if you think about it, what is the value proposition of Seifu or / Vulcan if there's no rebasing and there's nothing else? Well, nothing, right? I mean, you could go to Avalanche, Polygon, Arbitrum, any of those things and get, or Ethereum for that matter. Why would a developer want to be on this chain? So we couldn't get that moving. And we essentially said, let's backburner this and reset it again when there is, in fact, a testnet. So when the testnet was launched, then we restarted them. We started doing the workshops, etc. Now, the difference that was highlighted to me in the meeting that happened, a few days ago, is the fact that a portion of the funds here were paid in Seifu, and I claimed an incorrect value for the conversion rate. It's a little bit ambiguous, but I'm going to go ahead and claim, go along with their interpretation of it, which is what you see on there. So I have no qualms about that. It's fine. If that's what you say it is, that's what it is. So now what remains is essentially there is a balance on that. In other words, there are some services owed on that. Happy to provide those services, but we need the protocol, we need the things active, and we can do that. For example, create a DAO, right? Like, guess what? Doing that right now. I have been paid $0 for all this time since the time that I stepped into this leadership role to now for my services in doing all this. I have not been paid a dime. And so whatever pending services are there here, they'll be done. It's just a matter of time. We need to actually have the protocol running, and then we can do that. So what it comes down to this is there's two projects. On this project, this is the most critical one. We need to be paid the August retainer of $135,000. It is overdue. And if we are going to meet we are already at great risk of meeting our deadlines. This has to be paid. That's the thing. On this one, there's no payment needed right now. But as things are being done, we'll go ahead and execute. It's two different set. Like, one is essentially developer evangelists, and the other one is another entity altogether, and it's about protocol developers, smart contract developers, and applications. So what I want as a leader in this is I want to move this forward. For me, the most important thing, and the reason I stepped in this role, is I want to see this blockchain see the light of day and be very, very successful. Not just be turned on so you can flip, coins. I want this to be a real world-class blockchain. Hence the vision, and hence the strategic plan that we've presented. I'm unsure why, in the name of community, two individuals are essentially standing in the way of our progress at this point. And so I have waited now 2 weeks, and you've probably observed that my frequency of updates, etc., has gone down. And the reason being is I'm wrestling with this issue mentally instead of focusing on the path forward. It's really complicated to be thinking about how can we pay for this to be executed, and that's what's going on. So, full disclosure, all of this here, I'm happy to take lots of questions, but here is the bottom line. I cannot wait anymore. So I'm requesting action from the current multi-sig signers, all of them. Notwithstanding anything I've said before, basically, now that we've tried to make agreement twice and have not seen any action, what I'm saying is by 8 a.m. PST tomorrow, Saturday, August 19th, we have paid the $135,000 retainer, and I need to be added as a multi-sig signer. The community has voted. Yes, it's not a large part because not everyone's on Discord, but everyone who is there voted. So I'd like to be added on there. We've scheduled an AMA for 9 a.m. tomorrow to report on what happens. So this is not anything more than a deadline. I just need to be able to have a clear-cut date and time by which I'm like, okay, this is either going to happen or it's not going to happen. I know that people might perceive this as, oh, it's a threat. No, that would be if I was saying that, okay, everything ends there. It's not. In fact, I'm scheduling an AMA to say, okay, what happens next? But as a leader, I can't be in a holding pattern. I can't have the community expecting a certain thing to happen on September 1, but not have the resources to be able to execute on that. That just is fiction. It is impossible to do that. Hence, I have to make a decision. So after going back and forth on this for 2 weeks, I have reached essentially the end of my limit on this, and I need action. So this is how it stands right now. I need the existing multi-signers to essentially approve the August retainer invoice and add me as a signer on there. Then we can move forward and execute on the strategic plan. I have no problem with that. Everything there is moving forward. I've been talking to people. I have recruited people for the team, etc., and things are going very well. But on this, I've reached the end of the line. So that's where we stand right now. Full facts, full disclosure. Everything that I know is presented here. I will now take your comments and take your questions.
I'm sure everybody's got some comments and they have some questions and everything like that. And I don't want this to come off as rude or anything like that. And I don't know what you can tell me, but who is on? Who are the multi-sig? You said the three remaining people. So there's Jason, Damien, and Adrian. Is that right?
Yeah. So the current multi-sig, and honestly, for me, the straw that broke the camel's back is the fact that the current multi-sig are Brian, Jason, Adrian, and Damien.
Did you say? Let me just back up here. Did you say the current multi-sig individuals include Brian?
Yes. Now, this is germane because the most recent payroll, which includes payments to Jason and others, Adrian accidentally signed that. Jason then signed that, and he had Brian authorize it. That was the straw for me. I need this in a new multi-sig.
I was, this is a lot to process right now for me because of like what you were talking about and everything like that, and the information that you have there, and hopefully the guys can jump in here with some legitimate questions. I've started a few. I want to engage the community as possible, and I don't want to be this. I want to try to remain neutral, but this is absolute horse crap. I don't know what the deal is here, but when we were told that you were going to be coming in and we were going to have a vote, I was under the impression that, the things that I concerned myself with was about you taking your trip, and I didn't want you to miss the time with your daughter and everything, going and setting up the entity and then transferring the multi-sig and everything like that. All that stuff, that's all the things that after the vote, once it came through, that's what you would be working on. And I'm not blaming you. It seems like that's what you've been trying to do in your presentation. And I don't know what the motivations are behind the scenes as to not do that. But to learn that one of those people is a part of this, is the exact person that got us into this mess in the first place. And then it also is a little bit disconcerting. I understand that the investigations of things lead certain places and stuff like that, but I wish that we would have seen the investigation about Brian before all this. And I understand that maybe it went in a different direction. I'm not pointing any fingers, but we haven't heard anything from Jason. He's completely silent. And I think that there are some really innocent people out there that are trying to tell us some things that they found because of the fact that they think it's important the community knows. But at the same time, it's like, where's the stuff about Jason? It just seems to me that we've passed the point of talking about what Brian did, and now we're looking for other areas to distract us. I don't know, but finding out that he is a part of the multi-sig has really, really, really upset me about this. So hopefully you guys, I know Greek, you guys got questions. I have some started. I mean, let's just move on so I can, compose myself, because I'm going to get really, really upset with a lot of people with this.
Yeah. One of my questions is why all the missed timelines, but you explained that in your, the other one that's been asked by the community is the GitHub repo. Do we have one? What's the progress on the decks and the bridge? Is that even started? And what's the percentage done on it?
Yeah, so I just presented all of that, right? I mean, in typical software contracts, you release the source code when you're finally paid. So when the final payment happens, then there'll be a source code repo available for everybody.
So those are being actively worked on prior to today?
Yeah, like I just presented, right? Like 90% of the decks, and keep in mind, this is why I spent so much time emphasizing the proposal and what it means. So, and I know it's a technical thing, and this is why people get hung up, but those details matter. Details are important. But when people just say DEX, it's an umbrella term that captures the SAP as we originally started off with. It's got the fire pit, it's got the rebasing, it's got all of that built into it. And a lot of that is active right now on testnet, and we are headed towards mainnet with that. So yeah, I mean, the most important thing here that people seem to kind of ignore is there's a plan in place that I showed a roadmap, I showed the bridge, I showed the DEX, I showed the protocol, etc. So there is no ambiguity in what is delivered and what isn't. It's straight up facts. You can verify it. But the problem is that the people doing the analysis are not technically savvy. And so they use they're going by verbiage. And you can't go by verbiage when you're analyzing technical things. You need an engineer to do that. That's the challenge here. So look at the proposal as I presented it there, I verbatim, and see what's done and what's not done. I mean, it's complete false that nothing's been done, etc. I presented all the details here, and they are verifiable.
Perfect.
And Nick, I got a quick question.
Yes.
Hello, first of all.
Hi.
If you're having trouble getting in touch with the team as of now, what makes you think they're gonna get in touch with you in less than 15, 16 hours from now?
Well, I'm sure they monitor things. I'm sure people will contact them. But look, all I know is I need to honor the obligation that I've entered into with the community. Mm-hmm. I cannot do that effectively right now. So I have to, ironically, I say this with a huge sense of irony, I have to go with plan B. And that's what it is. So yeah. I can't wait. Time is of the essence here.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, at the very beginning, I agree with you when it comes to development, whether it be laying out some infrastructure and drawing that out and designing it, for scalability and down to just the development, if you're in what you do in regards to applications. I'm in IT. I work the same way, 25%, 50% up front, whatever the scope of the work is and how much I'm going to have to put in. how much skin I need to put in the game. First and foremost, you need to be paid. Period. The devs need to be paid. You know, I'm a true believer of a man's gifts will make room for him, and to know that you got someone like a Brian Legend who has knowingly, I would say, ripped the whole community off, is still on this multi-sig after we were told he left, he walked away, he resigned. I have to say, there was a point in time where I was giving Jason a little bit of benefit of the doubt, you know, that maybe he was going to do the right thing. But, you know, he has said he's barely known, or he hasn't known Brian Legend that long. And the whole backstory is, well, the fact that he's got to go back and get approval from the guy that's ripped everybody off. I'm really upset about that. Probably more upset than Chris is at this point. I think this is going to be a call to action for the community. You know, so if I just can't believe that they've been withholding payment from you all this time, and then at the same time say, hey, we're not going to pay. They're pretty much holding the carrot over everyone's head right now. You know we want the blockchain. We know we were expecting this. We were told this was going to happen, and this whole time they're not paying you yet. You know, paying themselves essentially. And I think the last thing I'll say is this. These guys have no idea what they're talking about when building a blockchain. They're not. And as far as the development of it, they don't know what it takes. They don't know the hours that the developers spend and all these things and all the the troubleshooting, the sandboxing, and all these things. And it just blows my mind that they have gotten away with it this far. I'm just really beside myself right now. I think this is, again, a call to action from the community. You know, Jason needs to go at the end of the day. I know we voted. I mean, unanimously, you won the vote at the end of the day. The community has spoken, those that actually voted. The team needs to be wiped. You need to be paid. And we need to get this ball moving forward. We need to get this game on the road, you know, or the show on the road here. I am just beside myself on this. I can't believe, most of all, that Brian Legend is still in the midst of this. He's still pulling the damn strings. I just cannot believe that. I'm sorry for getting upset.
Crazy.
But that just goes to show you, you know, from the very beginning, as people have tried to tell us that I don't think he ever intended to pay you, Nick. I don't think he ever intended to launch a blockchain. But that's all I got to say right now, and I'll let Chris or Pride or Greek go.
Now my thing is you can't get in touch with Jason. You know Brian Legend's not going to be cooperative at all. So that's 2 of the 4 multi-sigs right there. Have you had any contact with Adrian or Damien?
Yes, they are fully supportive of me, and this is why I was okay with the multi-sig so far, because we had 3 signers, 2 of whom are 100% supportive, and I'm in touch with multiple times a day. They are supporting the whole thing, the whole new plan, etc. And so this is why it comes down to Jason, essentially. And we can ignore Brian until recently, but with the most recent payroll thing, was that for me, that was a straw.
Well, I don't want to be rude to Adrian and Damien, but I mean I'm sure they're great guys and everything like that. And that's the point that bothers me about this, is that we paid, or we voted for your plan, Nick. We all voted, and we had a few that voted no. So I don't want to discount their positions and everything, but overwhelmingly the community voted for you, and you having control over the funds was a part of that process. I know that I brought it up. I talked about it multiple times in lives that I had, because I don't know blockchain. I don't know that stuff, but I know companies and I know how it should be run. And then my thing was that I wanted you to be in control of the funds. If you wanted to have Adrian and Jason and Damien and and Nacho and who you wanted as your team was going to be your decision, and I was going to trust what you were doing. But to come to find out that the vote was basically, what the heck, You know what? Why are we talking about this 2 weeks? Was it 2 weeks ago? It was a Saturday morning. You came on our live, and we were like, okay, so you're hitting the ground running, and all that, and here we are. So,
and Chris, for those 2 weeks, I have tried. One of the things you learn very quickly as a leader is you can't force things. You have to use diplomacy, and that's what I've been trying to do. I've been walking a very fine line between the community and this, but I can't do that anymore. I've run out of options at this point. I have basically tried to extend an olive branch as much as possible, given people the benefit of doubt as much as possible, because look, we got a bigger vision. We got to move this forward. That's all I'm focused on, is moving this thing forward. Whereas a bunch of people are focused on looking in the rear view mirror. And like I said, I'm stuck building a $250 million blockchain because of $270,000.
Nick, can I just get you to repeat it? That July 13th agreement that was made with the 3 remaining co-founders, no Brian involvement. I just want that to
100%, no Brian involvement.
Okay.
There, yeah. And this is why I thought it would be, in fact, all 3 of them verbally agreed to it. That's the point of an agreement. You agree to it, then you execute on it. Didn't happen.
Okay.
So,
because I saw the 135K was paid. So
yeah. So that's exactly the strange part, right? July was okay, but then this quote unquote investigation started, and now all of a sudden, Jason wants to hold me accountable for the community, when it is the community that is basically being held hostage right now. It's the opposite of what the statement is.
So,
we can probably stop sharing here.
Okay. I've kind of lost control of some of the things here. We have a lot of comments, a lot of people coming in different places. I want to say I'm extremely disappointed, and I want to try to keep an open mind, but Nick, I don't know. You asking for the slide that you have up, you asking for 135,000 to progress on the plan that we voted for at this stage is absolutely ridiculous. I know that you need 135 to go and do what you need to do, but me and I don't speak for the community or anything like that, but maybe they can tell me if I'm wrong or not. I want all the funds put into a multi-sig wallet that Nick decides to either add people to or not, and Nick makes that decision. And the 135, okay, then we're just going to have another problem when the next thing happens or whatever. I want all the controls of all the monies, all the any kind of liquidity, anything that we've had in the past turned over to Nick as soon as possible. I don't understand why this is turning into a I voted for Nick's plan. I didn't vote for Jason's plan. I didn't vote for anybody else's plan. I voted for Nick's plan, and that's what I want to see happen. And I don't want to see this stuff. This stuff is starting to bother me because it seems like it's a game, and I don't understand. You have 3 people on 4 people, I guess, on a wallet where 2 of them's motivations are completely the opposite of what the community voted for. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Jason, but what I do know is Jason's friends with Brian, and this seems like this is a crappy thing that he did with Seifu, when he did with all of his projects, with Yomp, and what he's doing now, and then this just seems like this is not right. This is not good for anybody, and something like this, whether it gets resolved or not, is another situation that the community is going to get hurt over. And that pisses me off more than anything else. Nick, I know asking or, saying that we need the 135 is very important, but I think the whole damn thing needs to be turned over you and stop these games. And if you decide that who you want a part of your team, I leave that up to you. But this is nonsense. This is nonsense. Nonsense.
Has anybody verified the funds in the wallet?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Like you can go in the funds tracker. The multi-sig address is there and the balance is there. There's a few transactions that two of them that Jason actually sent me information. I'll post them, but there's a few more that I don't have the details on, and so I can't post. But it is.
Yeah.
I saw a question there about it. So the reason
Right,
I
it's down
posted
to
the link is everyone can even
936.
look at the multi-sig directly and see all the transactions. You know, you don't have to wait for me to post it there.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Nick,
936K.
I got another question here from a individual that I highly respect, and they sent it directly to me. Nick, or Chris, can you ask Nick if he will give an ultimatum to remove Brian from the multi-sig wallet and the project altogether, and what assurances he can give us that this will happen, as this cannot move forward with Brian involved anyway, and they're pretty upset too because there are some things I can't repeat. So getting the 135 for tomorrow, you know, that'll help us move a little bit farther, but we still haven't resolved this issue. So the vote
Yeah,
didn't.
but my deadline for tomorrow is two things.
Yeah.
It's the retainer and add me to the multi-sig. And guess what my first action will be when being added to the multi-sig is move the funds to a new multi-sig and have Adrian and Damien vote for it. And this is why it's important to understand that things are not happening. I have not been added for this very reason. He who controls the purse controls everything.
Right.
So
I know that. That's the part that's pissing me
Yeah.
off, is that, you know what? I understand your point, and I will listen a little bit more to you, because I think you just gave me a whole lot of clarity as to what you're planning or what you want to do. So I appreciate that, and I think it answers their question and answers mine. I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes, very much so. All right. So, Greek, did you have another question? Did I interrupt you when you were asking something?
I just wanted to say the current multi-sig's down to 936K. Eventually, my whole point with this is.
Oh, I'm sorry. One question that I keep forgetting to ask, and this has come up repeatedly in DMs to me. Nick, I know that the situation is completely different now, but I want to give you the opportunity to address this. I personally have seen $28,000 has been moved out of the multi-sig wallet in the last couple of days. There are no receipts in the tracker. Is that something that you have the ability to do, or what's going on right now, you can't put it in the tracker?
So
that
as
would
I
be
just
Jason and them.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, I rely on Jason or whoever does the third signature, like it's a 3 or 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
To give me details. So I know that some of those are payroll. Whenever I have been given the details, I have 2 pending ones that I have details on. I will post them, but the remaining ones, especially the last one, I don't have any details on. And no, I have no ability to impact any of those transactions because I'm not a signatory on that multi-sig.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting again, Greek, but
You're all good. You're all good. Now, these questions may not matter if tomorrow doesn't come to fruition. You don't have control of anything. But the booster sales, I just want to know what portion of each booster sales, at 100% going to liquidity, how's that divvied up? Because our liquidity is suffering a ton, and the community's paid the piper way too many times. So if we're going to pay for something, I just want to know how much percentage is going to liquidity right away.
Yeah. So in the strategic plan, I'm just pulling it up. Give me a second here. There was a operating costs document. Let me just pull that up here, and we can review that again. But
so it'd be everything but operating costs, basically.
Basically, yeah. Like
okay.
There's two liquidity components, right? There is the coin, and then there is Oopsie, or whatever we end up calling it. So so basically, other than operating capital, which I intend to keep pretty tight, but at the same time, if you're gonna build upon this vision, we need to do a little bit of marketing. So but we can run a tight ship on that. And like I said, my goal is for that multi-sig that exists to very quickly have community signers also on there, but delegated. In other words, we can have, let's say, 500 people delegate one person, and that person's represented the community. But I want to have community signers also on there, and I also want it to be tiered. So, for example, the larger the amount, the more signers you need. Like the smaller the amount, the fewer signers you need. So that's basically what I want to impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's basically all I had. The Brian thing really just threw me for a loop. The storm clouds even came in behind me after you said Brian. Name, you know?
Here's another kind of a tough question, and I do have like a bunch of them starred, and then I have to go back to them. Someone asked me directly if Nick, why in the previous AMAs did you say that you trusted Jason?
Yeah.
At that time.
So here's the thing, right? What I'm operating with is what I see. My interactions with Jason, my conversations with him, etc. And he's been pretty forthright. I am never one to sort of, guilty until proved innocent. I believe in due process, and so far, as far as I can see, he's done nothing related to, and I want to be very clear on this, related to any of the funds being stolen or anything like that. I don't see any evidence of that. What I'm reporting here is exactly what has transpired, that basically he's withholding progress right now. And that's the only reason I decided to come forward, because I believe, and I saw some comments there that there's no diplomacy or anything like that. But look, as any leader will tell you, you have to work with people with differing opinions, etc. And right now, my biggest challenge is I don't have the power of the purse.
Right.
And how can I execute on this massive plan without the power of the purse? And I need to, at minimum, be having a dialogue. And if I can't even have a dialogue, how do you move the needle on that? And so this is why I started off this saying I'm stuck at this point. I don't have the control over the funds. I'm not in the multi-sig, and I'm not having a constructive dialogue. Constructive dialogue means people are saying, okay, I'll meet you in the middle. You've got to make compromises a little bit and do that. I'm willing to do that. But if we can't have a dialogue, how do we move forward? So I personally have no huge affinity for Jason. And I have said on multiple AMAs, if he's willing to do the work and if he has not done anything wrong, then he should not bear any consequences. So right now, my focus is on being on the multi-sig. That's what I care about, and getting these developers paid.
Right.
Okay.
I'm glad you did, because it's also making sure that people don't blame you or making you seem like you dropping the ball. It's not your fault. You know what I'm saying?
I waited 2 weeks now, and I'm at my wit's end about what to do, and I'm open to any and all suggestions. But I have reached a point of clarity in my mind. I've talked to the other key personnel that are working on this, and we are in agreement on what to do. So this is why I came here. And it was kind of coincidental that Chris says, hey, people asking this question about payments to you and all that. I'm like, I got nothing to hide. Here we go. Here's full disclosure. Go ahead and, I'm basically a business person. Everything is right there. And, I'll tell you some of the other things that people ask is like, oh, what do you do with the funds, etc. Well, first of all, as a business owner, any business owner will tell you that you get funds, you pay for things, you make a profit, and then you invest, right? So I have invested in other projects, and I'm happy to do that. And but right now we are at a position where work's being done, and I'm incurring a liability. This is going to come from my pocket eventually.
Nick, I got another question. I think it's important. I'll let this person disclose themselves. I'm just going to read the question. Says Chris, could you please ask Nick this one? Does BL have some conditions in terms of leaving the protocol entirely by requesting some kind of retainer for the project? If I was BO, I would never let my baby go. I mean, never, unless there was some kind of hefty pay for innovation. I believe Nick is being held hostage by those terms, and he is not ready or feeling ready to talk about it. If he has access to the source code, we should just forget about the 135,000 and try to raise it ourselves, and just start with Nick's wallet.
So I will speak unconditionally, unilaterally, and under no duress. There is no such thing. There is nothing. My condition for taking this over was that Brian had no part in it. The multi-sig is the last vestige of this. It is not possible to just say remove and it's done. It is cryptographically required for 3 signatories to move funds for that to happen. And we have 2. We need 1 more, and then we can execute. But
And
there's
that
nothing.
was
There's nothing at all. 100%.
okay. Good. That was from Master Baron. He said I could tell who it was, but I appreciate the question, Master Baron. Another question that I have: can you ask him if he has even looked at Jason's history? The same thing happened with tags. Has he even looked at it? I think that's he said. Has he looked at it? He wasn't like coming around like you're not looking. It was the way I've read it, but he's asking, have you looked at Jason's history? The same thing happened in, I guess, the tags project.
Yep. So look at it from my perspective, or in fact, like put yourself in my shoes, right? I have a vision to rescue this project and take it forward. I have the skills, I have the context, etc., and that's what I'm executing on first, because this project is in crisis. What someone has done in the past, etc., I can only impact it if I have control, and I have no control right now. I don't have any access to any funds to be able to do that. But whatever I have access to, what I can do with AMAs, talking to community, etc., I can make all the plans. I can work on the technology, but I can't execute on anything that requires capital right now.
Okay.
Hey, Nick, you said that if this doesn't follow through, you may have already said it, but you said you did have a kind of a plan B in a sense. What
Stole my question.
What would that be? What does that look like? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't ever heard me say this, any project needs to understand that they need us more than we need them, because this community will walk from whatever they're doing. Or you're going to have some that want to stay with Brian Legend. In fact, I don't understand that, but they will. But I think the majority of the community is done with this, and we got into this thing because of so-called innovation, and we wanted to be a part of something bigger than ourselves and all that. And so we still want that. That's still not that desire has not gone away. It's not dissipated. But so what would be this plan B that you're talking? If you don't mind, if it's too early to talk about it.
Yeah, so I wanted
Good
this
question.
one to be more about presenting the facts and answering to the things that people have sort of presented. So that was, and this is why there's a deadline. So when we do the 9 a.m. Pacific time AMA tomorrow, there's essentially going to be 2 pathways there. The request. I want to again say it's a request. It's not a demand. I believe in the power of negotiation, of people, saying, yeah, give me a second chance, etc., and moving on like that. I believe in that. So either it happens or it doesn't. If it happens, I'll present something at the AMA at 9. If it doesn't, I have an alternate for you. And the one commitment I will make 100% is I am going nowhere. I have worked with you to create a plan. I have worked hard to earn your trust. I'm not going anywhere. You're going to have a solution.
Good to hear.
Good to hear.
Because we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere as well. I mean, we're all in here. We're all in crypto for a reason. And a really good friend of mine has been saying this for the last year and a half. The problem is not the technology. The problem is the people. So we want the people that are the problem out of the way. And if that means, at the end of the day, community, look, if this $150,000, if they want to hold us hostage, I'm going to tell you this, if it costs us $150K to walk from these jokers, from these clowns, that is a lesson I'm willing to pay, because it's costing me $150,000, not personally, but it's as a community, to get rid of them. They're gone. So I'm willing to pay that price. My dad used to tell me that all the time. It's called stupid tax. You pay stupid tax in life for life lessons. And if this is what it's going to cost to get these guys out of our project, I'm all for that. But that's me.
Yeah, it's really important to remember that essentially the funds in the multi-sig are in stasis right now because you've got a 2 versus 2 situation.
You all right there,
Understood.
Kalyani?
Yeah, I'm
He's
good,
loading
man.
up.
Yeah.
I gotta mute you, buddy, because I think we all know what that was. Nick, I made the
Taking a drink, man.
I sent the time frame that we had talked about prior to this and what you announced to the same YouTube things and sent you the information.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a question here, and I know that this is like this was a long time ago, so I don't want to be calling them out.
I said it would be today, so yes.
Maybe not today, but when this kind of gets cleared up, that maybe that soon.
You can wait. You can wait on the Greek chain announcement.
Yeah, the Greek.
So I want our rebranded thing to be clean and devoid of all this drama. That's important.
Understood.
There's no point in
100%.
rebranding if you still got drama.
That's right.
Did anybody star any of the comments? Because I got over on my side, I haven't looked at them, and we're up to like 200 comments. So I've just been on the other page and over here.
I only see 1 starred.
Yeah, this is the only one I see. I would assume. I thought maybe you guys were grabbing any or anything like that. Ask Nick why doesn't he just let Vulcan die, create his own blockchain with crowdfunding from NFTs? I think we talked about that before. Did we? Did we talk about that?
Let's let the clock run out and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah, we know what. I'm not bringing that up, Rob, but yeah, we know what that was.
You can bring that one up. You can bring that one up.
Wicked
Tony.
I like that one, man. I'm still on that one. Thanks, Slim Dog. I like that one, man. That's a good one.
My only concern with everything here is I don't want the community to constantly keep footing the bill all the time.
Yes.
So I get, the community shouldn't have to put up 150. I'm just saying, for all the comments I see about that, we have suffered enough. That's just it. Just me.
It's a fair statement, and what most of the people are looking for at this point are a return on their investment instead of a drama on their investment. A DOI is what it is right now.
I just want an investment to even think about.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be part of a Netflix documentary, but not like this. You know what I mean? Jesus, these guys, man. Well, I agree with you. I agree with you, Greek, and those that. I mean, there's no reason why we should have to foot any more bills. I mean, we put enough in, not only just money, but our energy, our time, a year and a half of our lives, and that means more than me than any monetary value is the time I put into this thing. But I tell you this: if we have to move in that direction, I guarantee you we will get it back, because karma is a bitch. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, you just had a comment from OBZ, but they have a interesting comment right now at 2:10 p.m. Well, my time. What is that? 5:10 yours. So will the money just?
This right here.
Yeah. So it's important to understand that's how multi-sigs work, right? We're talking about essentially stasis, where nothing happens unless 3 people sign for a transaction. This is the problem we are facing, folks. It's not like you can call the bank or something and say, hey, remove this person as a signatory. You would do that in a Web2 company. That's how it works. People get fired, you call the bank and do that. We can't do that.
I'm on a multi-sig. You need to even sign to remove somebody from this multi-sig.
Yeah, exactly.
And just the illusion they gave us that Brian was gone. He shouldn't even be in our conversations right now. This is just so, I can't believe this. I just can't believe the guy's still here. He's still here.
Yeah. The thing is, initially, these past, the first, after I kind of stepped into this role, it was very reasonable. The transactions that were moving forward, I was given an update on them. The 3 people signed them. So it was not a problem. But the problem only started when this quote unquote investigation phase has begun. And now we are in a, in a tailspin as a result.
Yeah, I think this that I it's hard, man. I think I'm I'm behind Nick. I'm just gonna go with what Nick wants to do. He's got more. He's got the access to as much as he can, and
Yeah. Even
whatever Nick says, that's where I'm going to go now. And before I was like I was pretty solid on Nick. I was like, yeah, I like Nick. I like him as a person, and seems like he knows a lot about blockchain stuff. Like it seems like he's a good person. And I see a lot of resemblance, like what he just went through. And I know that this is a tough time for him because I have daughters that have gone away. So I feel for him on that. I kind of feel like a kinship there. But before I was like, yeah, I'm there for Nick. But man, this AMA, I'm a Nick Maxi. So don't listen to anything I say. Whatever Nick says goes. And if you come to me and say, well, Nick didn't do this or Nick, I'll be like, I don't care. I'm a Nick Maxi. So I'll publicly say it, and we're good to go. So don't
Thank
come
you,
to
Chris.
me for
I just
financial
want.
advice.
I have my own flaws. I'm not perfect. I'll make mistakes, but what I like to do is own up to them and then fix them and try and move forward. That's it. But right, this is why I'm here today. It's like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck, and
yeah.
we need to do something. And so this is what it's come down to.
Yeah. I'm just here for the community. Whatever's right, whatever gets this blockchain out for them so that we could say we got something and don't feel like we just went on the ride of our lives. That's what I want. And whatever gets us there in the easiest way possible is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we have had a ton of comments, and I apologize for not getting to them. I was so distracted on what Nick was talking about, and I didn't bring a lot of them up. I missed so many people. So many people were saying good morning and all that. And I have another question, Nick. Who was the third that was signing the transactions? Brian, Plan B, and who else?
The
That'd
two,
be
Adrian and Damien for ePlay, like they're basically the two other team leads. So the company never got founded, so they're just basically team leads. Yeah.
Okay, I got to go find a buddy of mine here. I don't see. Okay, so yeah, I saw a comment about the community. Do not let the clock run out. Okay. There was another comment that I had over here, but it seemed to get unstarred, and I have no idea where it's at. I don't know. I don't know. Did anybody see anything? Okay, we got. I did see this, but I don't know. Didn't get a chance. The question: what is it we will find from this investigation? They're essentially blackmailing you not to continue in investing or
investigating, I guess.
investigating and not having any funds. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a question, but it's a good point. So
Yeah, I mean, I've shared what's there, so
there it is.
I'm happy to go into more detail anytime on any question. I'm open to it. There is nothing wrong's been done. I've run a business, and got paid for providing services. Everything is out there. The only thing that might be off is because we're talking about crypto. There might be a few dollars here or there because of the currency exchange rate might be off on that, but we're not talking significant amounts. Yeah, I have invited Jason multiple times to come on an AMA with me, and let's deal with this together. Because I know, and I will continue to take a lot of heat for the fact that I have supported him because, again, I believe in due process. I believe that someone has to be proved guilty, and they're innocent until that. And so I want to basically have him come on an AMA and chat. And I realize that is risky for him, but I remember the first few days, I was, 6 hours sometimes on YouTube streams answering questions nonstop, But you got to do that. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to allow people the opportunity to ask questions, answer them, repeat them 1,000 times if you have to. He's got to do that. But that's his decision, not mine.
Yeah, the thing is they were more than willing to jump on a live before they got our money. Once they got our money, they disappeared. But it's they're trying to convince us that to trust these guys. But that's just so obvious what's happening. He doesn't want to get in front of a camera and get in a live because there's accountability there. Because you're willing to get up here and answer tough questions,
Right.
and he's not one to do that. But I don't, and honestly don't think he will.
Here's another question. I don't know where you could possibly be thinking about this or what the situation is, but we're being asked by Morning Day, what about Uxie? Are we stuck too?
Yeah, I mean, with Uxie, basically the only thing that I need to figure out is the cap table, and there's a lot of things that I wanted to have done by now, but honestly, I've just been dealing with this issue, and it's taken. I started off by saying, like top leaders, top athletes, etc. There's something called keeping your eye on the ball, like being very focused and to achieve your mission, right? I'm very distracted right now. It's just a fact of the matter. And honestly, Chris, you were saying about how, seeing of my daughter, etc. But that's been nothing compared to this. Like literally, we went to DC. Even then, from DC, I was still working, and set up her dorm and said goodbye and got back. I miss her, and it's different now, but it's not consuming all my focus, my mental energy. This is.
Yeah, and I felt so bad to reach out to you at that time too, because I was like, hey,
this is important. I mean, there's thousands of people whose lives are impacted by this, so I don't take that lightly, which is why we gotta work on this together. And I am open to. I had to sort of come here and start putting some deadlines in place because you're counting on me. I need you to know what I can and cannot do.
Yeah, and that's a real good thing, because I'm that's what I would expect. What you're doing and what you have been doing, and and explaining this investigation, and but what you're doing and everything like that is what I voted for. That's what I voted for. I don't know about everybody else, and this is what I want to see. This is what I want to hear. And for full disclosure, I've reached out to Jason multiple times. I've reached out to a couple of the other guys, but they have been engaging with me in discussion. But they said that the community voted for Nick, and they want to go there. You can represent their point of view, but I've reached out to Jason several times, and I literally have not gotten even an answer any kind of way. But it maybe he doesn't know me, so maybe it's one of those things where he doesn't maybe he thinks that he would come on and I would be mean to him or something like that, or maybe he's got a legitimate reason. I'm just saying that I voted for you for the plan that you had, and you have stuck to what I voted for throughout this whole process. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything. Greek, did you get all you had a couple other questions? I thought you had
I did have a lot, but he answered most of them in the presentation he did. So
yeah, very
he did a good job
informative.
on the present. Yeah, so it was just basically timeline stuff with the one thing. Yeah, you answered all that timeline stuff. It all worked out. So.
Hey Nick, I mean, next question. The July payment, is it done like July 1st? And it's supposed to be like the next payment will be August the 1st. How late are we from the August payment?
So basically the agreement was a monthly retainer, right? Retainer implies an advance. So we didn't make the deal until July 12th, I think, was it? Or something like that. So okay. I said, okay, it's fine. We can do the July one now, but the August and September ones should be at the beginning of the month. And now we are in the latter half of the month.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. Does anybody have any other questions? And I don't see a whole lot of questions in there. I think people need to process some of the
Yeah,
stuff,
a
and I don't
lot
want
of
to.
processing going on.
Yeah, so I think that I'm even like there's dead air in this YouTube because I'm like off like thinking about things that Nick said and stuff like that. And I'm actually for the first time going to rewatch my own live, which is kind of weird, but you know,
Hell,
that's
I was
fine.
thinking the same thing.
I'm thinking about things that Jason told me personally, how it was all bullshit. So you gotta understand where I'm coming from. You know, you were actually giving him the benefit of the doubt, Nick. Well, so was I. You know, I'm in the same boat. I understand how I run a business. So I know I'm trying to see both sides of this thing. And the thing that guy was telling me and the way he's acting now, it does not make sense. I'm pretty upset about it. And there's definitely going to be a reckoning. I tell you that at some point in time. But yeah, definitely dead air. Everyone's still recovering from the bomb that you just dropped. This is not what we wanted to hear. But at the end of the day, the silver lining is you said you're not going anywhere. Well, neither are we. Look forward to seeing what your plan is moving forward, whether it's plan A or plan B. You got our support.
There's a question that came up, Nick. I think it means and they corrected it in the next comment. Will Nick be open to peer review of the source code
Without reservation. Yep, no problem.
without
We're gonna have it audited
reservation?
also. So yeah,
What does that? What does that exactly mean? Peer review? Does that mean like other developers look at
other
it?
competent developers look at the code and
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Okay.
So I've been in open source so long that pretty much every line of code you write is essentially subject to scrutiny by people. So it's fine.
This is from Biz Entertainment. Can you have Nick clearly say who is the person holding up the funds and what are the requirements needed by this deadline on full screen? What?
I think he just wants him to repeat the demand that he started.
Oh, so and put Nick on the full screen? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
You want to do that, Nick? You want me to move that?
Yeah.
Move you
The
to the
thing
full
is,
screen?
like I want to be wary and not characterize things as demands, etc. That's not my style.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
it's
wrong word.
important.
Demand.
Yeah. Give me a second here. I lost that window. Yikes, where did it go? Got too many windows open here. Yeah, give me one moment. I'll find it and pull it back up. Sorry about that. But yeah, happy to do that.
I see you, Sky High. I see you. You'll be coming up next, buddy.
Sorry about that. For whatever reason, the window I had open here in front is gone, and I can't seem to find it, which is so silly. Where are you? Please continue asking more questions. Give me a minute. I'll pull this up. All
right. Sky High asks Nick if he could take the blockchain away from the others. If not, will he build his own?
I will answer those questions tomorrow. I found the window, by the way. I'll answer those questions tomorrow. I wanna keep focus on one issue at a time, not be distracted. So I am also, as you've probably learned by now, I'm an optimistic person. So for me, an optimistic sort of resolution of this is that we can move forward. We can have some dialogue and find middle ground and move forward.
Yeah, and Biz adds to his no demand, not a demand, just a clear understanding. So there is no speculations once we wrap the AMA.
Yep.
Are you ready? You ready to bring that up? All right, I'm gonna just send you. So I just would just have you here, right? Is that what you're wanting, Biz? I can take everybody off and leave Nick on there alone. Is that what you're saying? So we can snip it out, or is this good enough?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, I guess this is good enough. I mean, it's right up here. I mean, it's easy to see.
Yeah.
We're all here. Oh, just Nick. Okay, so I guess he has something in store. So we'll just have Nick up here. Do you want to read through this, Nick, one more time while we're all off here?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we've reached a point where we need to move forward and make a decision on executing on the plan, right? So the community is voted for the plan to move forward, but if you're unable to fund the development of it, uh, we can't meet those dates. So after almost a couple of weeks of waiting now, just need to have some resolution so we can figure out what our next steps are. And so what I'm saying is by 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, Saturday, August 19th, 2023, I'd like to have the agreed upon. This is not something new. The agreed upon August retainer paid of $135,000. The address is on the invoice. That is not needed. And second, I was in the Discord also recently. I was okay. I said I'm okay with not being on the multi-sig for the present because I truly believe that I had the three signers supporting me. It turns out that there are two supporting me. So now it's a risk. I can't execute on the various things we need to get done if I have no signing authority at all. And so I need to get that signing authority done. And I need to make sure that the folks that are along with me on that multi-sig are open to discussions and dialogue. That's how decisions get made. Multi-sigs should be about implementing decisions that are made for the good of the business. They shouldn't be control mechanisms for who's got the power and who's not. That is, yes, cryptographically you can do that with a multi-sig, but that's not how you run a business, right? You run a business with dialogue. You talk, you have some give and take, you make plans and you execute on those. And so I can't do that effectively if I don't have a seat at the table. And so based upon whether these actions are done or not, my goal is to have another follow-up AMA at 9 a.m., which is 1 hour after that time, PST, and address the community on what happens next. You're muted, Chris.
Muted everybody, my bad, so that
Yeah.
we would I wasn't doing anything in the background and being like cussing something out or whatever. And Nick being there. Okay, I thought I saw another question. I'm not sure. I already brought up that one and the one with Biz. Yeah, so I'm gonna pull this down at the screen. I don't know. Does anybody have any other questions or anything like that for Nick? I think the point has been made. I don't know if Nick can really answer any other questions right now. I think we're in a holding
There's one thing
pattern.
I do want to point out that before all of this happened, if you guys recollect, we had a meeting on the DAO structure. I presented the whole outline for the DAO and the teams, etc. I just want for the record to point out that after individual discussions, I offered Jason essentially the team lead for operations, which is his area of expertise. He's been doing that. And I offered Big Spite the role of the governance team lead. Her responsibility would be to essentially create all the protocols necessary for the DAO to operate. What are the rules? What are the bylines, etc.? All of those kind of things. So those are two very important positions, and so it's hard to fathom what is happening right now, given that they had a very sort of good future in our DAO and in important strategic roles.
Nice. That's good. That's good information. All right. So I don't see any comments from or any messages from anybody else. And unless you guys got anything, I'm just going to wrap it up here and leave it at that. And Pride, are you doing a live tonight, or is this
If
we're
you
just
if you want to, it's up to you. I'll talk to you
yeah?
afterwards. Yes.
It's up whatever you want to do. But
Okay.
I'm going to stay away from any kind of discussions about this. And then we have scheduled an AMA with Nick for 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning with all the same YouTuber channels. So I don't know who could make it. I think Greek is actually on a flight leaving Florida. You're muted, Nick. Or yeah, you're muted. My
Sorry.
bad.
Yeah, I'll be on a plane, so I won't be there. So thank you, Nick, for coming today, and you're in good hands tomorrow with Chris.
Yeah. Chris, before you close, can I just make a statement?
Oh yeah, we can stay on as long as you want, Nick. I just don't want to keep you
I just
answering
wanted
questions.
I just wanted to say that, look, one of the things that I value greatly is choosing good over bad and choosing optimism over pessimism. I know Discord is going to explode with all kinds of things. I just want people to be civil. It's important. All right. We are all people, humans here. No matter what people have done, they should be treated with dignity, human dignity. All right. So let's just, like I said, we all humans. So I just want everyone to be like, speak your mind, be angry, etc. But just remember, we are human beings, all right, and we should have human respect for each other as human beings. That's because it is not right to say some. I've seen some pretty horrible things people say, and that's not right. Like,
Very well said.
That's just my humble request.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's start building the community, everybody up. Let's start building everybody up. Hopefully we have well, whatever ends up happening, Nick's got a plan. So got a plan. All right. Well, I'm going to finish it here. Hopefully you guys got your as many questions answered as possible. We're going to go, like I said, I think Pride might do a live tonight. We'll hang out, maybe play some games. I don't know. And then we'll go live tomorrow afternoon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other than that, guys, have a great night and take care.